Okay. All right, here we are for another wonderful section of finding out what's going on here at Gilbert Activity with the events and activities. And right now I'm here with Byron Tinder, who, Byron, by the way, you and I kind of have a 6 degrees of separation thing going here. And for most people, 12 to 15 degrees of separation for me is probably good, but we're closer than that because, Byron, where did you work at before you came to good old Gilbert, Iowa?
Audubon, Iowa.
Audubon, Iowa. My wife graduated from Audubon, Iowa. You weren't teaching there at the time, but he is a law. How many years were you there?
17.
17 years. He was a wheeler.
Yes.
Their mascot was a wheeler. And my niece, Lindsay, graduated from there too. I don't think she wasn't in band, but she was a student you probably would remember. So
I think she was in band for a couple of years.
she was, yes. Okay. And when you were there, well, talk about your background a little bit there. What was it like there at Audubon? What did you do with the program there at Audubon?
Well, Audubon's a lot like Gilbert in a couple of ways. I mean, it's a high achieving school. It's a school where kids are involved.
Yep.
In a lot of things, and we had a lot of kids involved in band. We treat it like we do here, where
Yep.
we're not intensely competitive, but it's open to kids who are involved in other activities.
You have quite a few numbers here too. The numbers have steadily grown
Yeah.
since you've come on board here. So,
Yeah.
and we appreciate the work you've done here. So that's number one, my 6 degrees of separation from Mr. Tinder, and I worked with his wife last year, and we'll be working with her next year in the special ed department, and we have a good time. We enjoy it here, and we're glad you're here in Gilbert. This is your.
You generally have a good
I
time.
generally have a good. This is your third year here, right?
Third year.
Yes. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is talk a little bit about what the band has done this fall, starting with what I thought was a fabulous event at the beginning of the year. With the first home football game. Take us through that. How did you get that set up? What was it, and how did you get that all set up? How did you pull it off? Because it was awesome.
Well, it was a neat thing opening the stadium that way, and having Iowa State here.
And it was a full marching band from Iowa State.
Yep.
How many members are in that band?
325.
Oh, it was just wall-to-wall band members. That was cool.
So we had been talking about it, I and the director there, who's a friend of mine. We
Yep.
had been discussing it since February, and making sure that we could get a date that lined up and everything, and eventually it came around to where it did, and that I'm really happy we did.
It worked out that the first home game is
First
what
home
worked.
game was their first home game as well, and that's
Yes.
what we wanted because the kids would be in town and it wouldn't be an extra weekend for them.
Yep.
And it's a natural, it was something that worked because of the sort of the natural partnership between Gilbert and the university to begin with, and the proximity.
Proximity. Yeah, and let me just say this right now. I'm so very glad that you're not an Iowa Hawkeye graduate, because I don't know if I could handle the Hawkeyes being on our field. But Cyclones, we got the good guys there.
I'm not a Cyclone graduate
Yeah,
either,
but it worked. He knows the guy. He has connections. I'm just glad he's not, didn't bring in the Hawkeye band. So 300 members. How many members of our band?
We have 100.
100.
Yep.
So you had 400 some kids on the field.
Yep.
Band directors, and it was a beautiful night too, if I remember.
It rained for 3 days prior.
Yeah.
And including the hour practice that we had leading up to that, when I went down to Ames and worked with the cycling band, it rained on us the entire time we were down. We were worried.
That's not fun when you're in marching band. It's raining.
We made the decision then that we were going no coats. We're going bibs and baseball caps, and
which looked it was
it
casual,
went
but it
fine.
was good. It was good. I liked the colors out there. It's just unique to see A, the stands full, and B, the field full.
Oh, it was great.
It's as much a part of the high school football pageantry as the game itself, I think.
It's traditional.
It's
Yeah, you bet.
tradition. So what are some things you've done with? I know you got lessons every day. You got all kinds of bands going on. But what are some events that have happened this fall with the band that you've guided them through, and how are they doing in those events?
Well, we've had a good fall, and we're really just kind of hitting the busy season
you got
here.
contests coming
We
up.
have ski-ball auditions here in early December. We have Drake Honor Band. We're getting ready for our first concert, which is on the 15th.
Right before Christmas break.
Right
I
before
remember
Christmas
that
break.
when I was in high school. Believe it or not, people, I played the clarinet in junior high. I was just talking to Byron about that, which was kind of like watching Bam Bam play the clarinet in junior high. And then but for marching band in junior high, they made me tote the big drum. I was the pace keeper there.
You bet.
And in high school, I switched over to the saxophone and played baritone sax. And And honestly, looking back, I thought it was a pain in the butt. I enjoyed the company of my students, my peers that I was with. But I was, let's just say, if we had three chairs in band, I was fifth chair. But I had a good time, and something I wish I wouldn't have given up. So but I really enjoyed the time. We were good at competitions, and we went places.
We're going to have an alumni pep band night.
At the game?
In January, you should come play.
Boy, I would sound like, you rode over something already dead, I think. But I think I could pull off a squeak or two on the Barry sax. So you have the Skiba, you have the Drake Honor Band. Isn't that coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday?
Yep.
What are some of the processes kids have to go through to get on an honor band like that?
Well, it depends which honor band. For example, the Skiba honor band, you got to go audition. You have to prepare a bunch of music, go play for a judge. They select the bands. Drake, you send a resume basically. I send in a whole bunch of kids' names and their accomplishments and what they play and everything. And they're picking a balanced group, so they're not picking the same number of every instrument.
Right.
So they have an instrumentation to fill, and they have, probably 50 schools sending in kids.
Wow.
So
and we have kids going to that.
We have 7 kids
That's
involved
awesome.
in Drake, and I told them don't pick any more than 7 because that's what I can put in a van.
Yeah, I don't have to get my CDL to drive down there. That's cool, but they filled them all.
That's
They
good.
filled them up.
Yeah.
So, and so you got that going on. Obviously, there's no more marching band, but I think that's the for me was the funnest part. We got to go places that we normally wouldn't go. Whether it was back when I was in school, we went to like Morningside's homecoming. Just dumb things you got to do, and it's just like anything else. You build a rapport with the kids build a rapport with each other, and they are a team. And what amazes me is they will put in as much time and effort as any athletic event or any other activity out there.
And my goal is, there are 2 sort of goals. One is individual. We want to just keep getting better, each kid. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or an all-stater. The idea is that we just see continual improvement. The goal for the big group sort of right now with me is we want to do something unique every year.
Do something different.
2 years ago we went to Chicago.
Yeah.
Last year we premiered 2 works. We had our dedication to the auditorium concert. We had Dr. Galimo at Iowa State wrote a piece dedicated to Chris Koval.
Yeah.
And we premiered that
Good
work.
stuff.
And then this year we had the Iowa State band in. So right now we're thinking about, what's that going to be next year? What's that going to look like? That's going to be a unique
in high school,
experience.
We went to a trip to Kansas City and had a blast. But I think all those things are kind of unique, and I think it's great that the band is growing. I know that so last year I went over for in the fall, not this fall, one fall ago, I went over for homecoming week because I was the 8th grade coach at that time and had to represent the team. And when they had the junior high band play, I was like, oh my goodness, that's like half the students here. So it's growing at that level too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
unlike football or baseball, you don't have like a Pop Warner League for band, do you? They got to start basically when they get like, what, 5th or 6th grade?
5th.
Yep. And so you have to have good people down there too to increase the numbers.
Absolutely.
And I think just
Absolutely.
knowing who's down there, I think you've got a good thing going. And we enjoy seeing it. I haven't made it to enough concert, but there's something good about it. I did enjoy my daughter graduated with the last class that graduated at the intermediate school. And the music they chose then was in a Star Wars theme.
It's out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings stuff. It was awesome to hear that over there. And we were parked right next to you. And I tell you what, if you haven't seen Byron direct, he kind of gets into it. I think if I were a director, I'd be a little bit like him because when that music's flowing, I'm having a good time. I don't sing very well and I don't play very well.
Come down sometime. I'll let you get on the podium. Direct.
Well, they would probably be very confused when I got done. But any other things? We got December 15th coming up.
That's our concert.
Concert?
For this. Yeah. Right
And then we
before
take a break. Will we have a spring concert too usually?
Oh yeah, there's
Yep.
2 more. There's
2
a
more.
March and in May.
Yeah.
And of course, basketball season's kicking off. We're going to be at
That
basketball
band
games
was
playing
awesome.
that band.
That was the most fun I
And,
think I had outside of marching band.
Jazz season is rolling. We may have 3 jazz bands this year.
Oh
We've got,
gosh. And that's fun because in jazz you get to play a little different kind of music. It's
yeah.
just, and so there's so many variations you can do within the band program itself, and I think that's great for kids because each kids will find their niches where they want to be. So, well, we thank you for your time today, Mr. Tinder.
Thank you.
6 degrees of separation, Wheeler, and well, actually, back in the day, my wife, who didn't play any athletics, but her sister did, she was a Wheelerette.
Yeah,
Tried to get
yeah.
that on the back of a jersey, huh?
That's right.
But from Audubon to here, we're glad he's here, and we're glad we got a program that's growing, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it.